Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. So welcome, friends, to this Wednesday evening sutta class. And this evening, again, we're looking at some suttas in the Anguttara Nikaya Book of Tens. We've already covered a number of suttas in the Book of Ten, because there's lots of interesting suttas on topics, but different suttas highlight different aspects of, a topic. And this week is also like that. So we've been talking about, different views and so on, the views that the people have on various, questions. And so this week, Sutta number 95 in the Book of Tens. It's also this the Buddha giving this discourse to a wanderer named Uttiya. We've talked about the wanderers. They usually have different viewpoints, and in those days there was almost unlimited amount of different ascetics and wanderers who were speculated or expounded their own views about the nature of the world and so on. And the Buddha normally didn't answer those questions directly because, they were, he didn't want to get caught up in those debates. And he wanted to just teach the people the Dhamma. So anyway, this Uttiya came to the Buddha, and after they exchanged their greetings, he sat down and he asked the Buddha these questions. Now, I'm not going to read all of the speculative questions too many times. I'll read them maybe partly. And so he asked the Buddha, how is it, Master Gautama? Is the world eternal? Is this alone true and anything else is wrong? And then the Buddha replied to this Uttiya, I have not declared that the world is eternal. That this alone is true, anything else is wrong. And then he asked, well, then, if it's not, is the world not eternal? And again, the Buddha says, no, I have not declared or answered that question whether the world also is not eternal, whether it's eternal or not eternal. He declined to answer either of those questions. And then he asked, well, is the world finite? And then is the world infinite? Are the soul and the body the same? Is the soul one thing and the body another? So all these questions, he keeps on saying, I have not declared that. I have not answered that question. Then does the Tathagata exist after death, or does he not exist after death? Does he both exist and not exist after death? Does he neither exist nor not exist after death? And the Buddha, again, he said, I have not given the answer to, these questions. So you can see how these people were trying to pinpoint the Buddha in the, giving some definitive answer to these views that are beyond the comprehension of anybody who's not enlightened. And even the modern scientists with all their, electron microscopes and all their other high-powered gadgets, they also probably couldn't answer these questions. So then this Uttiya is puzzled. He says, when I asked you, Master Gautama, is the world eternal, not eternal? And he repeats all those. And you said no to all. You said, I haven't answered any of these questions. Then he says, well, what the heck? He says, what then have you declared? You got to declare something, right? I mean, they think you have to declare something because that's what all these other leaders of these different groups, they were going around declaring this and that kind of thing. And so this is the Buddha's reply to this Uttiya. He says, through direct knowledge, Uttiya, I teach the Dhamma to my disciples for the purification of beings, for the overcoming of sorrow, lamentation, for the passing away of pain and dejection, for the achievement of the method, for the realization of liberation or nibbana. So through direct knowledge is not the view, because it's direct knowledge, a viewpoint, especially now, we call it right view, right? So the first step of the Noble Eightfold Path is right view. But again, it's right view as opposed to wrong view. Wrong views are speculative questions that have no proof and are unable to be proved really, or they're just hammered out by a certain person's logic or because it's passed down through ancient texts. But the people who are espousing these views haven't actually experienced this by their direct realization, or they could have had some realization, and then that's based on an incomplete type of enlightenment, maybe just based on gaining the jhanas, such as some of these Brahman ascetics. They gained certain formless jhanas, like the sphere of infinite space, infinite consciousness. And then they declared, this is ultimate truth. This is God. This is, oneness and all those. But that was an incomplete experience they had attained, because the Buddha also had attained them. And that's why he wasn't satisfied with any of those formless jhana attainments, wanting to call it, oh, that's God, that's liberation. No, he felt there was something. He kept on going, letting go of any, until he experienced that, what he called the nibbana, liberation from all views. Anyway, so then after the Buddha tells this Uttiya that it's through direct knowledge that he teaches the Dhamma, he asks the Buddha, well, you teach your disciples for the achievement of the method for the realization of Nibbana. Then he asks, will the entire world thereby be emancipated? Or half the world? Or a third of the world? Even that's, some people, they speculate, what if everybody would attain Nibbana? What's going to happen to the world? The beings will cease to exist because nobody's being reborn. And, that's a speculative understanding. That's never going to happen, that everyone is going to attain Nibbana. And so that's what this guy was asking. Will the entire world therefore attain Nibbana? No. Or half the world, or a third of the world. So the Buddha's reply in this is very interesting. Then, so after Uttaya asked the Buddha this question, again he remained silent because he knew this guy wouldn't stop asking questions. So the Buddha just remained silent, refused to answer the question because. Then Venerable Ananda, the Buddha's trusty disciple that was always there wanting to help people. So he then talked to this Uttaya, where he was thinking to itself, this Uttaya had better not adopt the evil view, thinking that the Buddha doesn't know how to answer, that he's unable to answer. And that would lead to this wanderer Uttaya's harm and suffering for a long time. Then Ananda tells Uttaya, he gives some simile. Well then, friend Uttaya, I will give you a simile. Some intelligent people here understand, again, he says intelligent people, understanding of what the meaning is said by means of a simile. Suppose a king had a frontier city with strong walls and arches, but it only had a single gate. And the gatekeeper who was posted there would be wise and competent and to keep out strangers and admits the people that are known. And while he is walking along the walls of the city, he doesn't see any openings, even big enough for a cat to slip through. See, the cats keep coming back to our conversations. So, so there's no opening in this huge, big stone wall, even for a little kitty to get through, let alone a human being. He might not know how many living beings, how many people enter or leave the city, but he would know that whatever large living beings, certainly a human being, that would enter or leave the city, they have to come through that gate because he's inspected the whole wall. There's no opening larger for, our little meat, the cat to slip through. So it's presumed that the only way they're going to get it out of the city is through that one gate. So too, friend Uttaya, the Tathagata has no concern whether the entire world attains enlightenment or not, or half of the world or a third of the world. But he can be sure that all of those who have reached enlightenment or liberation from samsara, or who are being emancipated, or who will become liberated from samsara, they first abandon the 5 hindrances, the corruptions of the mind that weaken wisdom. And then with their minds well established in the 4 foundations of mindfulness, develop correctly the 7 factors of enlightenment. It is in this way that they have been emancipated or have attained liberation. Or they're in the process, in case of an arhat who's already attained liberation, or in the case of a Sotapanna, once returner, never returner, who are being emancipated, or anybody who will become liberated in the future, they would have come to that liberation through this, by weakening the 5 hindrances which block our concentration, by developing the 4 foundations of mindfulness, bringing to maturity the 7 factors of enlightenment, which is part of the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 4th foundation of mindfulness. So they'll know that is the path that they reach. And then he tells Utya, you asked the Blessed One from a different angle the same question you had already asked him. Therefore, the Blessed One did not answer you. So that was the end of this particular, dialogue. So Ananda gives this nice simile to show. And again, so, people ask us sometimes, can everybody attain enlightenment? We say, well, theoretically, we could say yes, but realistically, it's not going to happen, or certainly it's not going to happen in huge numbers, because people have to change their way of life. They can't just living and eat, drink, and be merry and do whatever you want and enjoy sensual pleasures and have hindrances and expect to gain the concentration and wisdom that's needed for liberating the mind from the ego. So again, as we're going through these suttas, if anybody has any questions about them or some similar kind of questions, you could write them down in the chat, or at the end we'll take some questions. I thought it was. It turned off. Seems that my mic had been off. I hope everyone was able to hear me before. All right. I'm speaking loud enough, right? For it picked up. Okay. So that's the takeaway from this sutta, is that, we're not interested in everybody attaining enlightenment because we know realistically it's not going to happen. But whoever has the interest to learn and practice, that's what the Buddha taught in his whole teaching, was for those few who are ready, let them practice and get liberation. And a lot of people might say, well, that's not very compassionate, or, but it's realistic. The Buddha was a realist, and that's why there's not many, even though Buddhist teaching and meditation has been going around in this country for 50 years now, really, almost. People are exposed to it. There's still a drop in the bucket number of people who are, really interested in the meditation. Okay, this next question talks about these same views, but this time it's between Venerable Ananda and a different wanderer. And Ananda, talking from his own experience, and Ananda was a Sotapanna at this time. And so he's also talking from his, his understanding of, being a Sotapanna. So this occurs in Rajga at the hot springs. Now you see, There's a place in India called Rajgir, where it was pronounced Rajgaha in the Buddhist time. And it was a very prominent city. And it was Vulture's Peak, a famous place where the Buddha used to spend a lot of time and give discourses. But there's a hot spring that exists even in this day. And I have been there myself a couple of times. And I've even had taken a bath in that place. It's kind of dirty now, and so many people come there because it's becoming popular over the time. But, when I was there back in the early 70s, it was still not too bad. But anyway, so there's a hot spring park, and there's a lot of sutras connected with these hot springs. So usually they came in the early morning. So Ananda was there. He went to the hot spring to have a bath. And then he got out of the hot spring when he was drying himself. So another wanderer, this time this wanderer's name is Kokanada. So he too had gone there to the hot spring to have a bath. And he saw the Venerable Ananda in the distance and said to him, maybe he didn't really see who it was, but he saw there was some other person that had just finished taking a bath there. So he says, "Who is there, friend?" And Ananda says, "I'm a bhikkhu, friend." And he says, "From which group of bhikkhus?" That means monks, different sects. The different sects had their own groups and so on. So, "I'm from the ascetics following the Sakya son." So that's a term for disciples of the Buddha. The Buddha was called, the Sakyan prince, or the son of the Sakyans. So basically the Buddha's disciple. So Ananda was telling this monk, "I'm one of the Buddha's disciples." And this monk probably, realized, oh, he's a disciple of the Buddha. And so he asked, "If you could take the time to answer my question, I would like to ask you about a certain point." So Ananda, being very friendly, he was always so open to trying to answer people's questions. So Ananda said, "You may ask, friend. When I hear your question, I'll know whether I can answer it or not." So, Ananda wasn't fully enlightened. And even though he had heard most of the Buddha's discourses, his knowledge or direct experience of enlightenment was limited to the Sotapanna's fruition. But, he still didn't have any of the psychic powers, to remember past lives or any other things like that. And his mind was still limited in the depth of his knowledge. But he had that glimpse of enlightenment. So he says, once I hear your question, I'll know if I can answer it or not. And then he asks, "Do you hold the view the world is eternal, this alone is true, and anything else is wrong?" And Ananda replies to him, "I don't hold such a view, friend." So basically, this ascetic asks Ananda all of the identical questions. I'm not going to be repeating them now, that I just read in the previous sutta, those 10 speculative questions, down to the last one, that does the Tathagata neither exist nor both exist, neither exists nor does not exist after death. This alone is true, anything else is wrong. He says, "I don't hold such a view, friend." And then he asks Ananda, "Could it be then, friend, that you do not know and see?" And then Ananda replies to him, "It isn't the case, friend, that I do not know and see. I know and see." Because he's declaring that he has attained at least the Sotapanna. Because the Sotapanna has had that true glimpse of knowing and seeing nibbana, knowing and seeing the unconditioned state, even though it was just for a short time, and he doesn't have that continuous experience of liberation, but just once in a while when he's in meditation, he's able to, get the glimpse of that. But so he does know and see. So he's not saying that he doesn't know and see. And then this Kokonada asked him further, when I asked you, how is it? Do you hold the view the world is eternal, this alone is true and anything else is wrong? You said, I don't hold such a view. But when I asked then, do you, and all the other questions, you replied to all those questions, I don't hold such a view, friend. Then when I asked you, could it be that you do not know and see? You said, it isn't the case that I do not know and see. I know and see. And so this guy was confused because, he asked the question if Ananda holds these speculative views, and Ananda said no. Then he asked him, well, do you not know and see? And he says, I know and see. So this wanderer is expecting, if Ananda says he knows and sees, that he should know and see the answer to those previous questions. So he got confused. First, Ananda says he doesn't hold any of those views, but he's saying he does know and see. And then Ananda tells him, he says, all those views that you are asking me, those questions, is the world eternal or not, these are speculative views. And he repeats them for all those questions. All these are speculative views. And then Ananda further tells him, to the extent, friend, that there is a speculative view, a basis for views, a foundation for views, obsession with views, the origination of views, and the uprooting of views, I know and see this. So Ananda knows and sees how all the basis of all these views have arisen. But not any of the particular views that this monk had been asking him. I know and see this. So he sees, how speculative views arise and the uprooting of them. And then and then the basis of views, there was a note to this sutta, that the basis of views, where he's saying, to the extent that there's a foundation for views, obsessed with views, it says the views are clinging to the five aggregates, ignorance, contact, perception, thought, careless attention, that means ayoniso manasikara, bad friends, and just hearing something from another, but without one's own direct experience. So that is the basis of any view that you can imagine in the world. It's based on clinging to the five aggregates, ignorance, then contact with the senses, perception, thought, probably wrong thought, careless attention, bad friends, and just hearing something from another. So Ananda understood that is how all these various viewpoints of the world. And you could see, you could say that this is also the viewpoint of how, these different, even some different type of religious views perhaps have come up as well. And so after this wanderer was happy with Ananda's statement, he says, "What is your name?" Because he didn't know Ananda's name. He was just, he knew he was a disciple of the Buddha. He says, "What is your name? And how are you known by your fellow monks?" And then Ananda says, "My name is Ananda. My fellow monks know me as Ananda." And then this monk probably went, "Oh my God, that's Venerable Ananda." He said, "Indeed, I did not realize that I was consulting the great teacher, the Venerable Ananda," because Ananda was well known in that area for being, had memorized all the Buddha's discourses and could repeat them from memory and so on. If I had realized that this was the Venerable Ananda, wow, I wouldn't have spoken so much. And then he asked, "Let the Venerable Ananda please pardon me for, badgering him with so many statements." So that is how we should, when we hear different views from different people, then, that's how, the views arise because of, incomplete understanding due to not having followed the right method to come to the end of views. So let's say there was a well with water on it, and people are saying, "Oh, there's water in the bottom of the well." How do you know? I don't know. I've never seen it. It's too deep. People are just saying, "Well, there's water in it or not," but they never actually tasted it. But until somebody actually goes down in there and gets wet, then he will know that there's water in that. And so that is, the experience of gaining the path and fruits into understanding, especially into, anatta. And that's why, people get stuck on their views because they're clinging to the sense of I and self. Okay, so that is the end of those two sutras that I wanted to cover this evening. And again, that's one of the favorite replies of the Buddha that we've covered before, when people were asking him these views. And at the end he says, "Well, there may be time to, look at these questions later on, but, sit down and let me teach you Dhamma." And then the Buddha simply, teaches them the Dhamma, and they get so, fascinated by the way that the Buddha is explaining the Dhamma that, they temporarily forget about those other views, and many of them attain Sotapanna or even other stages based on the, one Dhamma talk. And then they would give up all those other views because they would then know and see directly the source of all views. So, even, once you know and taste the water that's in a well, that's no more longer a view or just an opinion about, "Well, I think there's water down there. It smells like there's water down there." But you've actually, been down in there and tasted it. So it's no longer a view. Okay, so let's see these this chat question. Aren't these questions important? Humans are sending these telescopes into space to find the beginning of the universe and spending billions to build large colliders. Is it futile? Well, I've given some Dhamma talks in the past where I also, kind of, talk about this same thing, that Western science, for the most part, and especially, up until maybe recently, but most Western science is about interesting in discovering the beginning and the end of the material world and how to manipulate the material world. So that's why they want to how did the world begin? And so they want to send out these probes. Right now we got something on Mars and they're going beyond that to try to find the extent of the universe. Now, even if they find it, is it going to help them have less greed and hatred and delusion? They could still go home and get angry and, beat their wife at night or whatever, I don't know, indulge in, some different, unskillful things. And wanting to smash the atom, and so we can learn how to make all kind of things. Now that might have its useful purpose for some things, but not for gaining the truth, to the extent of not using that time and effort and money to research the mind. And there's that famous sutta of the Rohitisa, the Deva, who was also trying to find the end of the world. And the Buddha says that you'll never find the end of the world by physically traveling. And that he said the world and the end of the world is right within this body and mind with its sense organs and, consciousness. So, and the suffering. So the Buddha was interested in finding the origin of suffering and the ending of suffering. But science is not interested in finding that in the mind. They're trying to find the end of suffering by prolonging people's life or by taking enough pills and painkillers to try to minimize this kind of suffering, but not determining what was the original cause of the suffering. And so that's similar to the Buddha didn't want to answer those speculative questions because they were not going to lead to the introspection about suffering. And that was the Buddha was interested in, not about the physical world, whether it's true or infinite, not infinite, and all this, but how does suffering arise? Because that's the thing that bothers people the most, is their unhappiness, their unfulfillment. So, we wouldn't say that science is futile, no, but it's futile if you want to discover, to transform your consciousness from ego consciousness to liberated, non-egoic awareness and liberation from the samsara. That's the point. It's not that we're saying, inventions and science is futile, no. But it's futile if they're not addressing what is the most important, and that is learning how to understand their own consciousness, in the mind, and how the mind creates its web of karma. So, does anybody have any further questions on any of that? can ask a question, by unmuting yourself if you like. Okay, so if there's no further questions, then we can take a short break and get ready for some yoga stretches so that hopefully when we sit to meditate, your mind will be better grounded and centered in the body, which is really where you find that this physical body with its mind and senses is the doorway through which you experience the arising and passing away of suffering and of the world. Okay, so we'll come back in a few minutes. I'll put on that screen. I'll do it. I'll put on the nun.
Bhante, the volume is off. Your mic is off.
So relax your arms and hands at the sides. Feel your feet pressing the floor. Try to mentally feel the height and the weight of the body over the feet. Then begin some deep, slow breathing. If you know the three-part breathing, drawing the air from the lower lung up to the top, expanding the chest. Hold the air in the lungs for a few seconds. And feel the relaxing contraction of the out breath. Feel the last bit of air go out of the lung. Just breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Okay, you can open the eyes on your screen to lead you through these movements. On the next in-breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch the head back, bend back a little bit. On the out breath, turn the palms down, touch the top of the head. Again, in breath, palms up, straighten the arms. Out breath, touch the head. Third time, hold that upward stretch longer. Try to bend back a little more. And release the fingers, the arms out, back to the side. Relax and feel that subtle kind of tingling or pleasant pulsating sensations in the fingers and hands. If you can't feel that, feel your feet pressing the floor. Remember standing. And then next on the in-breath, push up on the toes while raising the arms over the head, facing the hands toward each other about 6 inches apart, and stretch. Out breath, come back down, arms to the side, heels to the floor. Use the breath to help lift up the body. In breath. Out. In. Out. Relax, close the eyes. Feel the increased body sensation. Remember standing, anchoring the attention, the present moment. breathing body. And next we'll do knee bending on the in-breath. Again, push up on the toes and lift the arms up front for balance. On the out-breath, bend the knees and lower down, balancing on the balls of the feet. And deep breath, push up. Out-breath. In-breath. The muscles in the legs pushing the body up. Out. In. Out-breath, relax. Feel the increased heartbeat. Other sensation. Remember standing. Standing. Sort of watching the body standing there with inner awareness. And next we'll do the side bending using both arms. And the in-breath is both arms up. And keep the fingers in the arms straight, close to your head. On the out-breath, bend over the right side as far as you comfortably can. Keep the arms parallel to each other. In-breath, lift up. And the other side, out-breath. In-breath, up. And to the right, out-breath. Left. The out-breath, lower the arms. Feel increased pulsation, sensation, in the hands and fingers, arms. Due to the activated life force, the oxygenated blood. Remember standing, Stand. Okay, now spread the legs and the feet apart, at least 3 feet. And hold the hands out to the side. We'll do the lateral twisting of the spine, twist to the side, and breathe in. On the out breath, look to the right and twist to the right. Keep the eyes focused on the hand going back. On the in breath, come back to the front. Let the feet turn with the body to help keep the balance. Twist easier. And the other side, out breath. In breath. Again to the right. In breath. Out. Once more to each side. Relax. Feel the sensations in the shoulders, arms, anywhere else. Feel each foot pressing the floor. Feel the clothing touching the skin, different places. Now place the hands together at the chest. In breath, hands over the head. The out breath, hands to the chest, bend the knees, lower the body down, and keep the back upright, feet flat on the floor. In breath all the way out. Out. In. Out breath. Feel the whole body vibrating, pulsating with activated life force. The electrical energy in the body, vibration of the cells, interaction, cellular activity, creating all this sensation. Then bring the feet together and standing straight with the head turning from right to left. The in-breath, head to the right. And look over the right shoulder, turn the eyes to the right. Try to see something behind you. In-breath all the way back to the left. Concentrate into the neck vertebrae. Imagining and feeling them loosening up. In-breath back to the right. Out breath left. In-breath right. And the in-breath, stop the head in the center. Close the eyes, feel the whole body vibrating, pulsating, an activated life force. Activated awareness. There was one last exercise, the backward and forward bending. Again, be careful with the back bends, not to bend back too far the first time, especially coming up from a back bend, be aware of any internal body shaking. Hold the palms out, so the palms are facing forward. Now, in breath, gradually open the arms out. As you bend backwards, bring the arms out to the sides, horizontal to the floor. Look up. Carefully lift up on the in-breath, keeping the arms out at the sides. And the out-breath, lower the arms and hands down towards the floor. If you can, touch the floor. Let the spinal vertebrae stretch out. The sacrum bone. Begin standing up, turn the palms outward again. Open out the arms to the side, bend back. In breath, lift up. Out breath. In breath. Out breath. And hold that downward stretch along let those little bones where lower spine joins the pelvic region. And again, folding back up, and on the in breath, bring the hands together at the chest. The out breath back to the side. Feel the whole body. Try to imagine and feel the whole body being saturated, suffused, permeated by healing life force and awareness. Should feel like you're standing on a vibrating machine. Vibration of the inner body. Present moment awareness. Starting point for any deeper mindfulness, vipassana awareness. Okay, now come back to our seats and get ready for the meditation. And just sit straight, or align the back of your head and spine in a straight line. Try to find that center of gravity where the body could either tip forward or tip backward. Relax the shoulders, Now bring your total attention down to feel where the buttocks and feet touch the floor underneath. Just feel that solid contact, weight of the body pressing the floor. Especially focus your attention to where the two buttocks press the seat. It's like focusing a camera lens, focus the attention, bring it into clear focus, sensation. Both buttocks press the seat. Sensation of a solid feeling or weight, the earth element, the earth element vibration. And feel some little subtle sensation in the buttock. And just remind yourself, sitting, sitting. Now the body is sitting, the present moment, posture. Now let the awareness kind of move down the legs toward the knees, just feeling different sensation, upper legs, feeling of the clothing on the surface of the skin, anything from under the skin, sensation. Slowly moving the awareness down the legs toward the knee, rounding the knee, the kneecap. Feel that soft flesh behind the knee. And moving down the lower leg, the calf muscle. The shin bones. They're pressing something. And coming to the heels of the feet. Now just focus your attention on the heels of the feet, or you can do one at a time, or both together. Should be able to feel like the blood pulsing, sensations in the heel. And gradually feeling the rest of the foot, the feet, arches of the feet, balls of the feet, and then the toes. So you can feel the outline of your big toes, where you touch the toes next to it. You feel any of the other toes. Socks touching the skin, feet and toes. Again, just remember sitting, sitting. Just try to feel like you're a scientist sitting in the laboratory looking down the microscope. Focusing that microscope awareness. in the body. Move that awareness up to feel your hands and fingers where they touch together, where they touch the body, the leg. There's many little different sensations you can notice. That small little area of the hand. Just feel that aliveness in the hands and fingers. And now feel the weight of the arms hanging from the shoulder. Relax the shoulder. Just feel that downward pulling weight. Feel where the clothing rubs against the skin, the shoulders, the arms. Present moment awareness. Any thoughts going through your mind, just let them just come and go in the back of the mind. Keep the feeling of the body in the front part of the awareness. Keep refocusing the camera lens of attention. Just remember sitting, sitting. Let the awareness move up to feel the base of the neck, where any clothing might touch the base of the neck. Can feel inside the throat, feel any sensation to cough or to swallow. You're moving the attention up. You feel your lips touching together. Feel the subtle sensation, the lips touching, the lower lip touching the upper lip. The sensations of dryness or moistness. Dryness and moistness, characteristics of the water. You feel that subtle aliveness in the lip. Aliveness is also awareness. You feel the tongue laying in the mouth, where the tongue may touch the teeth or the roof of the mouth. You have any urge to swallow. Now feel the nose there in the center of the face. The outer nose. Might take a few deep, slow breaths. Feel the air moving through the nostrils. Subtle sensation of air moving through the nostrils. Now feel the eyes resting in the socket, and the eyelids stretched over the eyeballs. Be alert for any subtle type of movement or pulsation in the eyes or eyelids. And just gaze on the eyeballs with the inner gaze of awareness. Relax the eye. Might see some light or color or mental image. Now from that point behind the eyes, just feel the face, sensations of the skin stretched over the front of the forehead and nose, cheeks, chin. Feel this different, subtle sensation on the face, a little prickling sensation. And just imagine that there was a video camera going on behind the eyes, kind of just taking video, the sensation in your face. And let the camera lens kind of open up, feel more of the body, feel the shoulders and arms, the buttocks pressing the seat, legs bent underneath the feet. Try to feel that outline of the sitting body. Close the head and the arms, the feet underneath. Just try to hold that whole body awareness in the mind's eye. Sitting, sitting. Feeling all those sensations we went over previously in kind of one glance. And then begin some deep, slow breathing. Feel a more dynamic expanding and contracting of the abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest. So hold the air in the lungs several seconds to oxygenate the blood. You feel that subtle energy, oxygenating blood. You feel the relaxing contraction of the out breath. Try to feel the last bit of air go out of the lung. And then the next in breath. Just take several deep, slow breaths like that. Pump up the body with oxygenated blood and life force. Help you to stay concentrated in the body. Just cultivating this basic mindfulness. And breathing in, letting go of the past and future. And breathing out, sitting here and now. And breathing in, letting go of the past and future. And breathing out, sitting here and now. And breathing in, feeling the whole body. And breathing out, feeling the whole body. Try to continue the deeper breathing if you can. If you're getting tired of it, you can let it go back to its normal pattern. Continue to feel it. I'm going to count the breaths from 1 to 10 to try to gain a more focused concentration. Feel the expanding and contracting movement. With the next expanding in breath, mentally count 1. Feel the brief pause. With contracting out breath, also count 1. The next in breath, 2. Out breath, 2. In breath, in. Out breath in. And feel the last bit of air go out of the lung. In breath 4. Out breath 4. In breath 5. Out breath 5. In breath 6. Out breath 6. In breath 7. Out breath 7. In breath 8. Out breath 8. In breath 9. Out breath 9. In breath 10. Out breath 10. Discontinue the counting. Discontinue any control of deep breathing, letting the breathing return to its uncontrolled or shorter, irregular pattern. But continue to feel it. Keep the attention centered there in the center of the body. Feel the subtler, shorter, expanding, contracting sensation. And feel a sensation of the clothing rubbing against the skin, expand and contract, producing friction, sensation. Using that to know when the breath is coming in, and to know when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling. And knowing is natural awareness centered in the body. Try to notice how each breath is different. Sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes it's an easy breath. Sometimes a difficult breath. Sometimes Breath stays in the lungs longer, sometimes not very long. Sometimes the in breath is longer than the out breath. The out breath is longer than the in breath. It's all a part of mindful concentration, clear comprehension. Knowing and seeing of the breath process. In sitting, out, out, sitting, the ongoing, continuous connection to the present moment, in the breathing body, development of continual awareness, concentrated awareness, feeling the subtler and subtler sensations, vibration. At the same time, be alert for thoughts trying to sneak in, or any of the hindrances, drowsing. Apply the appropriate antidote, getting a straight posture, letting go of the thought. Let the thoughts come and go in the back of the awareness. It's like news bulletins going across the top of the computer screen without following them, staying connected to the breathing. In sitting, out, out, sitting. You just get the feeling that you're a scientist sitting in the laboratory, feeling the inner body, watching mind and thought through the microscope, concentrated awareness. Breathing going in and out, different sensations coming and going, thoughts going through the back of the mind, urging, different mental states. They're all just passing through the lens of centered awareness, concentrated present moment awareness. And try to identify the five aggregates, whichever ones pull your attention, bodily vibration, whether they're painful or pleasant, feeling, mental memories of them, perception, thoughts and reactions to them, the sankhara, the consciousness, sense of I am observing them. Just tuning in to that flow of impermanence, all these aggregates just arising and vanishing very quickly. So many body sensations, pleasant or painful tone to them, remembering body parts by name, perception. That's my feet, that's my hands, that's my face, it's a perception. They're all just coming and going through this breathing body. If you like, you can contemplate, nature of this life. You're born as a tiny little organism in the womb, grow up, go through the stages of life, accumulating all kinds of reactions, sensations, likes, dislikes, experiences, keep affecting our life in many ways, forming various habits, keep you caught in certain repetitive patterns and suffering. Until now, with your interest in the Dhamma and meditation, trying to figure all that out, unravel all the knots of unskillful karmic condition. kind of perceptions or thoughts arise in the mind based on that sound content. Sambe sankhara anicchati. Sambe sankhara dukkati. Sambe dhamma anattati. Yada panyaya pasati. Atani bindati duki isamago visuddhi. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. They arise only to change and vanish, pass away. And all impermanent things have tightly clung to with ignorance, bring stress and suffering. And all the conditioned dhammas, as well as the unconditioned deathless state, are without any owner or control. They're not me, mine, or myself. When one understands these three characteristics with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to purity, to freedom. And thus spoke the Buddha. Now slowly come out of the meditation. Let's do some more deep, slow breathing. Combine that with some thoughts of metta toward our own body and mind and other beings. Again, just try to do some deep, slow breathing. After breathing in, hold the air in the lungs as long as you comfortably can. Try to feel that subtle oxygenation of the blood going out through the body. Imagine that as metta, sending metta vibration, oxygenated blood and life force out to the cells, molecules, and atoms, body. On the out breath, feel that relaxation on the out breath. Try to take several more deep, slow breaths like that, cultivating this train of thought. May I be well, peaceful, and wise. May I be free from greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance. May I be free from the pains and sufferings of body and mind brought about by such unskillful thought, speech, and action. May I have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. I continue to deepen my understanding of the Dhamma, the practice of meditation, to help free the mind from confusion and suffering. May I be well, peaceful, and wise. With each breath, as you're holding in the breath, with each out breath, continue radiating these thoughts outward, sending these same metta thoughts, vibrations to your family members, mother, father, relatives, good friends, colleagues you work with, teachers you've had in school, sending the same metta thoughts, may be well, peaceful and wise, free from suffering. And with each out breath, just imagine the waves of metta going further outward across the countrysides, to the cities, the towns, eventually across the whole country. And with each subsequent out breath, waves of metta going further and further outward across the ocean, the 10 directions, eventually to surround the whole earth and beyond. These thoughts, may all living beings in the whole world, wherever they might be, may all beings be well, peaceful and wise. May all beings have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May all beings be able to hear the mind-healing teachings of the Dhamma, to learn and practice meditation, to help free their minds from confusion and suffering. May all beings be able to live peacefully and harmoniously together, understanding the ultimate impermanence and no self-nature of all things, understanding the ultimate interconnectedness and interdependence of all things. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. It's like a mantra reverberating throughout space. Well, peaceful, and wise. Now I invite you to join chanting the word sadhu 2 times slowly. Do the chanting on a long out breath. Feel those vibrations in the body and mind. Just take a deep, slow breath. Sadhu. 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 Now place the hands at the edge of the knees. Take one more deep breath. You breathe in, stretch the head back, pull against the knees, or arch the back for a few moments. Lift the head up, and on an out breath, press the chin to the top of the chest. Stretch the neck vertebrae. And lift the chin up level on an in breath. And relax on the out breath. And put a smile on your face. Okay, friends. Well, thanks for joining in tonight. Hope you had a peaceful meditation. Try to continue your meditation practice at home with the M&Ms. Take your meditation supplements and the M&Ms, meditations throughout the day. Come back and get recentered when your mind is getting too spacey or rushing too fast. That's sort of like the miracle pill, learning how to train yourself to stop at any time, just for a minute, bring your attention back to the body, take a couple of deep, slow breaths, just tune into the subtle vibration in the body, bring back all of your Dharma awareness, especially the knowledge of present moment awareness that is always there, inviting you to come and see. Okay, anybody have any last questions or anything they'd like to ask? You're not in a hurry to go. Let's see, a second, check.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Welcome. Just remember, mindfulness a day keeps dukkha away. The sutta a day keeps confusion away. Namo Buddhaya, that means that Buddhic vibration, present moment awareness is always there, literally just beneath your nose, inviting you just to pause and reconnect.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo
Devasa.
Buddhaya.
Namo.
Namo Buddhaya.